Hey, welcome back everybody to You Monstar Gaming. I wanted to start a series on this game, Megapolis, that I've really enjoyed. I did talk about it in one of my other YouTube channels called Tommy Reviews, um, but I don't seem to be doing a lot of reviews nowadays on anything really, even though there are a lot of things that I'm interested in. But this is a game that I want to dive in a little bit deeper and talk to you guys about. So, playing it on my tablet here, you can play it on your phone as well. You can play it on iOS. You can also play it on a desktop. This was one of those games that came out several years ago on the computer, and I think it was also basically one of those Facebook games that actually did pretty well. I think it's much bigger in Europe and Asia than in the US, although there are a lot of people, of course, that play it globally. It's a very, very, very fun game. So today is just going to be the first video on this, and it's just a real quick introduction of what it is. So it's definitely a city building game. You start out in this area right here. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. They give you a small little plot of land, and then you expand it from there. So the reason that this game is a little bit different than a lot of the other games out there is that they give you 100% freedom on building. So that means every single building, tree, um, road, things like that, you have the ability to put it pretty much anywhere within your grid area that you've uncovered. Um, so I kind of like that. So when I first started playing this game, I'm going to zoom in even further. Started right in this little central area here, and I just kind of moved around and added more things here and there. You can see very quickly that this could get very overwhelming and a little tedious because you do have to collect stuff from all your buildings or majority of your buildings, and it becomes a lot. So I'm just going to do a real quick run through as I'm clicking around of everything that you see on your screen here and kind of how it works. So if you've played city building games in the past, you'll know that on mobile devices, they try to keep you engaged. So they will have um, events, or actually not events, missions and things like that, and tasks that you have to hit to get you more points. So let's start on the top here. So you'll see I'm level 80 up there. From what I understand, you can keep going up and up and up and up. There is no cap on how high of a level you go, which is nice. So that's basically experience points. So pretty much anytime you do anything in the game that you complete, like here I'm collecting goods, that gave me 60 experience points and then gave me income. So on the top left, you'll see the gold coins there. That's your income. And then you have the mega bucks, which are in green. That's the currency, the super currency, if you want to call it that, in the game. That takes a long time to get. There's specific ways to get that, and it's one of those that you want to kind of hold on to. Don't use it um, on a whim. Just hold on to it and use it with purpose. Now, the top middle up here, you're going to see a couple little people. 2.23 million. That is your population. So that's the population that you have, and underneath it shows you your limit of what you can have. Um, Most likely in the game, you will move so quickly through different kind of buildings that you won't get close to that limit unless you're building way more residential than anything else and you're not expanding your territory. So definitely what you want to do is you want to expand your territory, make it bigger so you have a lot more options in the game. The next thing there that you see is the water. So that's your water circulating that you have for your people and your limits. So let's say you build a ton more buildings, which require, having more water for your population. You cannot exceed your limits, or it'll tell you you cannot build that, or you need to add more water, or a lot of buildings will be there, but they won't produce anything for you. So you just got to keep an eye on that. The thing to the right of that is the electricity, and you have a certain amount of electricity that your whole city uh, requires, and then how much you're actually, giving them. That's another thing you want to keep an eye on, because if you build really, really quickly, you're going to run out of water and electricity to power or give water to your whole city there. Um, to the right, there's a little clipboard here. It tells you your passengers' resources. You don't have to worry about that quite yet. At the beginning of the game, you have this little trophy thing here. This tells you all your achievements that you've reached. And sometimes it's nice to check them out and see what other things you have to do to achieve a little bit more. Then you have top. So this ranks you with everybody else in the leaderboard. I don't really pay attention to this because there's a lot of people that are way, 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 way ahead of me. So don't worry about that too much. Then there's a little thing that looks like a map right here, which is really cool. This shows you a map of the whole game. So you'll see that we started right here in the middle, that little blue icon in the middle of the screen. That's the first city that you build on, and as you level up, you do unlock a couple of the other cities. Sorry, the city a little bit further up from there in the middle. Opened up a little while ago. I had to connect them. You have a little island down here in the tourism island on the bottom, and then you have the Rocky Mountains over there. That unlocks. I think both of those unlock by level 30. And then all the way on the right, there's an industrial complex that unlocks right around that same time frame. And then you have Las Vegas, which is almost like a Las Vegas. And that place seems to be nighttime almost all the time. So that gives you a little bit of a different feel. Now you can click anywhere on here and you can look around, which is really nice. It's a very, very, very vast map. You'll see there's a lot of areas that have nothing in them. You will periodically get events and other special missions that will let you develop in some of those vacant areas. So I think I've opened up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to say 8 or 9 different territories, and I'm only 17% unlocked of the whole map. So there's still way more for me to do. So I'm just going to click out of that there. This is your chat here, so you can actually have your own government, where you can have other people help you out, be part of like your own little club, your own little state, which is really cool. And they will help you out, and you guys can share. There's contests and different things that you guys can do together. But this game doesn't require you to do that. It doesn't push you to do that in any sense of the word, which is really nice. Some of the other city games, you really have to do all that, or you're just going to get stuck in the game. In this game, you don't get stuck by not, participating in things like that. I would join one. It is helpful. And it's social that way, where you can, interact with each other and help each other out. But that's kind of the chat board for that. Down here you have this machine here, and that just demolishes whatever it is that you want to demolish. So sometimes you do have to do that. You start the game with a lot of little houses, and you run out of space, and they're not bringing you much population or much income. It's never a bad thing to demolish a whole street and rebuild with much higher value buildings. Then you have the little house here. This will go a little bit more thoroughly another day, but this is your shop. This tells you what kind of structures you want to build: residential, production, vehicles, infrastructure, decorations are like parks, things like that. Resources, basically it's like the water and electricity type plants. I think later you get more other options. And then roads, for different kind of roads that you want to build. And then there's vehicles over there, which I haven't touched too much. There's different ways to do these things. But that basically tells you all the things that you have the ability to build. As you level up in the game, every level will unlock at least 10 to 20 different buildings, maybe another 5 to 10 decorations and things like that you can do. So, and it can get big, and it can grow bigger than that too. It's not a specific number amount, and sometimes they do a limited edition type buildings and structures that you can do along the way too. Then you have the 2 crates right here. The crates, these are all the goods that you have received and are storing from your neighbors or friends, and then they will separate them for you, and then you can figure out which ones you can apply and which ones you don't. These are all categorized by buildings. These are buildings. A lot of these are ones that I won doing events and events. I just haven't built them yet, and they're just kind of sitting there, just fine. Then you have assets, which is the same thing, and then you have miscellaneous, which is other things. So that kind of just keeps track of your inventory. And then on the bottom middle, this shows you your neighbors, and it's just a quick shortcut where you can visit other neighbors and help them with their cities, and that'll give you points and friendship points and things like that, which will help you out. And the more you help out your neighbors, the more they will help you. This game is super fun in the fact that a really quick way to be able to get more income, get the materials that you need quicker, is by having your neighbors help you. There are 4 neighbors, it's either 3 or 4, that you start the game with. They're basically computer players that have their cities maxed out, but it's maxed out from like 3 years ago or 4 years ago. So they don't have any of the extra buildings or any of the extra cities or anything like that. They just have the core foundation, but it's completely unlocked, which is nice. So Edward, this guy in the middle here, is one of them. He's easily has over 1,000 buildings in his world map. Probably about 30 different cities that are unlocked and booming, which is exciting. So when you start the game, you'll have those first 3 or 4 computer friends. You can visit them, and actually that's one of the reasons why I actually ended up continuing to play the game after the first week, is by looking at their cities, which are almost complete, and seeing all the variety of buildings that you can build, which is ridiculous how many buildings there are available in the game. Like I said, that's another thing that we will discuss later in a different video. Then you have these 2 icons here. One looks like a leaf and the other one looks kind of like huts. Those are the current events that are going right now that are timed. They're usually only a few days. They allow you to kind of work on them and try to do as much as you can. It's good to do them. If you're playing the game often, you definitely want to work on them, because they will give you a lot of money and they'll give you a lot of resources and different things that way. So there's definitely some good rewards, and pretty much all the major ones will give you megabucks as well. So that's another way to ramp up that way. If you see the little gift icon here, you can send gifts basically once a day to all of your neighbors, which is nice. Second thing is your wish list. So this actually lets you pick and choose from everything that you're building, because you need materials to build your different buildings. You can pick things that you want other people to give you, and then you can see the neighbors' wish list of what they are looking for, which helps you help them a little bit better. The more you help your neighbors, the more they will help you. If you don't help them, usually after a week or so, they will notice and they will delete you. And then you'll have one neighbor that is not helping you or giving you anything back. So you always want to monitor what your neighbors are doing. If they're not helping you, don't be shy about deleting them and adding new neighbors that are active in the game and are helping you. Because the more help you get, the quicker you will be able to build the things you need to build. Now this one here is your tasks. The major ones are these green ones. Those are kind of the campaign, almost like they're helping you move along the game in a I don't know, in a manner that makes sense in a specific direction. And then underneath those, then there's regular, just small tasks. They'll also help you, but they're a lot more minor. These ones are a lot easier to complete. A lot of them you just have to build a specific building or have 2 or 3 different buildings built, stuff like that. They're usually pretty easy. The bigger ones require a ton of different things to get them going, but yeah, a lot going on there. Then the 2 things up here are part of those tasks, and then these 3 up here are different sales that they have where you can buy in-game currency and things like that. So basically, I'm gonna zoom around the board here just so you can see some stuff. There's all kinds of buildings that you can build. Let's see. So this one right here is this is the Baseball Federation headquarters that I put there. And then I put an advertising agency, Seventh Heaven Hotel, International Aviation Company, Stock Exchange, Rockefeller Center. So there's a ton of buildings in here. There are actual buildings in the world. Smaller ones are just kind of generic. Like that's a 5-star hotel. That's a country home. That's a beach that they ask you to finish up. Here's a yacht club thing, lighthouse construction site. So there's a lot of stuff that you'll have access to from the beginning of the game, but you have to complete them. So just looking at everything here, This took me a while, obviously, to build. This is a whole other factory type thing here. Let's see, what is this? This is Times Square, New York Times Building, Times Square Tower, Paramount Theater. So as you can see, there's a lot to this game, and I think that's one of the reasons why there are no real tutorials for this game online on YouTube. There's a ton of stuff on Wikipedia. They have their own Wikipedia that they do, and they put a ton of content in there, and that's great. But I think for somebody starting out playing this game, and maybe you don't have any friends that play it, how do you know what to do? How do you know what's a better strategy versus a poor strategy? Where do you start? How do you manage all your stuff? So let me click over here. It's kind of hard to see. It's right behind this big building. This is a zoo, administrative building. It says click to complete construction. So at the beginning of the game, everything's going to be funds. You just need to pay for them, and they're built. The higher end buildings, other than like what is it called, skyscrapers and things like that, like more production type buildings, the higher ones are going to require resources. So let's click on the zoo, and if you can see down here, it says you need turf, turnstiles, aluminum profile, automatic doors, and then on the top, it's going to show you level 1 of the foundation. Looks kind of barely built. And then step 2 is building the frame. And you can see visually what the difference is. And then it says once you build the frame, population cap increased by 40,000. So you'll actually be able to accommodate more people. So more people are going to show up once the zoo frame is built. Now on the bottom, you're going to see that you need these materials. Now there is nothing in this game that actually produces materials for you to use of this kind. There are raw materials, and that's a whole other video and a whole other section of the game that you have to be at least level 50 or so to even unlock. So don't worry about that right now. But these little materials that you need to build things. So let's see, what do we need for this? Oh, no, that's something else, sorry. Trying to find like another, like this bridge right here. So it says click to complete construction. So this one requires asphalt, wire rope, guardrail, floor slabs, iron beams, concrete pile, right? Let's look at this dam, hydropower plant. Oh, I can do that one. So this one needs concrete blocks and iron beams. Let's see, where's another unfinished something over here? Construction. Okay, this one requires a ton. This is a international terminal for the railway system. That one needs hydraulic jack, conductive concrete, passenger address system, paving slabs, spray gun, foam glass, luxury wood furniture. So here's the thing with this game. You can do a lot. It's super expansive. There's a ton of stuff that you can build. But guess what? You're going to need a ton of materials and all sorts of different kind of materials to build it. It's very, very easy to get overwhelmed once you get past level 30 or 40 or 50. Like the first 20 or 30 levels, you're not going to be looking at building this stadium. You're not going to be looking at building railroad tracks. You're not going to be looking at building any of these things out here. And you know why? Because you are going to be busy trying to fill out this city right here. So everything you do early in the game is to finish this city. Once you're pretty much, I mean, I'm not done. It's still going to be a little bit bigger, but everything that you've done here is going to let you level up at least a good 10 or 15 levels. Once you get there, it's going to unlock another territory for you, and then you're going to want to build that city. And then you level up some more. It's going to unlock another city area, and you're going to want to build that. The problem with that is all you're doing is building cities, and you're not making a ton of income unless you have some really, really big buildings that are producing a ton. So at some point you are going to start wandering the map a little bit, and you're going to want to look at other things and say, okay, what do I need for this bridge? Oh, yikes, I don't have any of that. Move on. So you're going to start exploring. You'll find airports. We are going to talk about planes and airports in a different video. But you'll see that even though you haven't ventured out this way before, and this is nowhere near your city, you'll find that there's other things on the map. and you'll find that there's other places you can wander off to and start building those things, which is kind of what I did, which is probably not the best way to do it. Is you want to kind of keep a focus. Maybe focus on 10 different buildings that you want to develop, or 10 different parts of town you want to develop, or whatever it is that you want to do. Is keep it simple. If you venture out and try to build 50, 60 different buildings just because they're cool, or you just wandered around the map and you found something interesting and you're like, hey, let me go build that, you are going to get lost and you're going to get frustrated because you're going to be working on way too much. So think about it as if you were building a real city of your own. Work on some of the city, move on to the next part, move on to the next part, move on to the next part, work in little pieces at a time, and very quickly you will develop a huge territory. So I don't want to say too much more than that because there's a lot of content to go over in the future videos. But I just wanted to give you a starting point here, just so you kind of understand like what the screen area is telling you, and what the what the game is all about. This is not a confrontational game. You're never going to be attacking another city. You don't need to hound other people to do this and that. It's as close to a visual puzzle as you would think. I think this is very, very, very close to something like SimCity 2000 or the original SimCity or Farmville. Any of those things, minus the disasters. There are no disasters in this. You just peacefully just play your game, peacefully grow, develop, connect things, build things, as much and as expansive as you want. And you are going to have a ton of options and a ton of different buildings. And a lot of them are very unique. And they're going to develop as you build them up. So this is just the frame here. If I were to go to the next stage, you can see what it would look like then, and they all give you different benefits and things like that. This is a very, very detailed game. They did a really good job making sure that the buildings you look unique, and buildings actually look like what they were. What is this? A movie theater. And they do have little animations of little people walking around, which is pretty cute, but they're fun to watch. So once you actually build enough, you could literally spend like 10, 15 minutes just wandering around your city and just looking at what's going on and thinking, maybe I should move this stuff to this part of the city, move that around, or maybe I'm going to tear this whole city down over here and just build skyscrapers or build banks, or, there's just so many things you can do, and it is beautiful, a beautiful game, and it's very well made. They update it very regularly, and they have events almost weekly that are very interesting and will bring you to a whole different part of the map. So you're never bored. Even though it's a very, very slow moving game, you're never bored. There's always something to do. There's always some place to explore. And just like any other game, like a free-to-play game, because this is free, when you are constructing things, it is going to take real time to complete them. So this is a household goods store, just to give you an example. We'll go over this in one of the next videos, but like these are all the different things that they can produce. And then it tells you how long it's going to take to produce the thing. The fresh vegetables is 3 minutes. The coffee beans are 2 hours. It goes all the way up to garden fertilizer, which takes 12 hours. Then you have chips, pastry, etc., etc. So there's tons of ways to make money. There's tons of ways to progress in the game. But like I said, it is a very calm experience. It is not stressful. I've played other city building games where you're constantly stressed out about, I got to complete this. This event ends in 3 hours. I need to bring it rank number 1. My city looks horrible. I need to do this. I need to do that. This game is not about do something really quickly and move on. It's not. Take your time. Build your cities however you like. There's really no rules other than you can only build where they allow you to build, which seems fair. And even after 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, you're not going to be even close to finished on this game. It's going to take a really long time, but it's super rewarding and it looks gorgeous. And I think that's one of the reasons why I keep coming back to it, is I'll do a little here, a little there, play 4 or 5 times a week, and then just watch my population, watch my whole city grow and everything grow and develop. So it's gorgeous. So thanks for watching. See you guys on the next one.